Yes, here we go. Watching Glasgow Celtic put it on the style as the song that's playing. I think that sums up the sort of overall mood of the Celtic fan base right now. We are piling on agony, that is for sure. And certainly this season we've been playing with a hell of a lot of style. Bit of a last. We were going to go on later tonight, and then it realised by the time I get back home, I'll just say it, I'm playing badminton, right? But once I've finished that, by the time I get back, it's actually about half an hour later than we needed to have gone than what I'd thought. So we've had a rethink. We're going to go on now, and we're going to be with you for the next roughly about 40 minutes. And I think that's okay. I mean, you're
Hang on,
probably
Bhoycie. This pause been late for you lying in a ditch, been hungover, 4-day benders, paralysed a couple of occasions, but to you be late for badminton is a new one on me, mate. Really new, mate, to be honest with you, don't know. But
I'd like to speak to my lawyer before I comment on any of the excuses that Marc's just made that I've used for being late, especially that being on a bender when I don't know what he's talking about.
No.
But yes, we'll crack on because it is a good time to be a Celtic fan. Quickly do all that good stuff if you get the chance. Give us a wee like, hit that wee thumbs up button, give us a wee share if you want as well. We'll get more folk on the bus, of course, and joining you watching us live. Remember, hit subscribe, hit the bell beside it, and you never miss a bus. If you want to become a member, it's $1.99 a month. Loads of you have. 3 out of 4 people who've commented so far already in the chat. Mikey Cole, 8212, one of our newest members. Teresa Lyle, one of our longest standing Bhoycie Bus viewers right from the get-go. Alistair Jack, similar as is Charles Smith. So a big shout out to all of you, though. There's Johnny V just jumped on as well. Jim Dolan, there's another one. Love it. Right, okay. Marc, you have not been on since the weekend. I don't want to dwell too much on it. I think there's been a hell of a lot of talk over it. But having been at the game, sort of dissected what came after it, I feel as zen now as I did during the game. And that was, I know it's a nerve-wracking morning for a lot of people. I'll be brutally honest, I didn't have it in the morning. I'm in a chat with 4 other folk, all of them are Rangers fans, and they're like, how you feeling the day, boys? And I says, genuinely, I feel disgustingly confident. And they wrote back, we feel disgustingly shite. They were like, we're disgustingly fucking worried or something like that. And I understand that. This week carried on, and I think they're a lot of them are in meltdown now. I think they're now got fucking Bob the Builder working for them to get Ibrox ready. Anything that remotely looked like good news this week, they're trying for it. We're back to Ibrox, all this shite. I've not changed in my position from where I was before the game, after the game, and now. I'm very comfortable with the dynamic domestically. Where are you at it, Marc, having been at the match?
Well, first of all, I'm jealous of anybody that doesn't get crazily anxious about that match. I get what you're saying. Like, I did feel like during the match, I felt like Celtic can score a 4 or 5 here if they want. You know what I mean? And actually, see about 3 or 4 minutes to go, there was folk leaving. You don't see that very often in a derby match. So that kind of just sums up the atmosphere within the stadium. I must admit, boys, I can never let myself be as calm as that. I don't know whether I'm just like always walking on thin ice and life in general. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is, but you know, after the match, I almost felt like, you know, not guilty, but I almost felt like, what was that all about? I mean, you put your trust in the players, trust in the manager, and I think more often than not, Brendan Rodgers does justify the trust that a lot of folk like yourself put in him. I mean, I was talking to somebody earlier on, and I thought Bernardo was a standout, but for me, if you want to sum up what's happening now at Celtic and the work going on behind the scenes, like, I think Ange Postecoglou, he's zoned in on Daizen Maeda's athleticism, his hunger, his desire for the team. I think Rodgers has took that and he's moulded him into a more intelligent football player and not just as athlete, but somebody who's managed to mash the two of them together. You know what I mean? I think Rodgers has took that on rather than, I think Ange was more interested in his athletic nature and his work rate. And we're now seeing the benefits. And I think Daizen Maeda the other day, I think Benboy deserved a goal. He scored today for Japan as well, but he deserved a goal the other day there. I thought, I know we're not going to go into the match too much, but see when you're side fitting the ball for 28 yards into the bottom corner, boys, that's just confidence losing out you. I remember some of the 11 lines speaking about when Jock's team was going through a match, it's like they'd already played it before. And I feel like Brendan Rodgers can make a team play a match before they've even stepped on the park, such as his full focus on the small details. And I'm all for the fact that Brendan Rodgers treats a Rangers match like it does a Broth or Kilmarnock. When you get too emotional to these matches, then emotions take over. I think you look at somebody side of the dugout, one of them backroom staff was getting yellow carded during the match, up doing like a yo-yo, fully engaged with what's happening on the park, rather than fully focused on belief in his players. And Rodgers had that in abundance. And I think anybody watching the match as a neutral, unless they're Graham Souness, can just see nothing but green shoots to a great good Celtic team here. And Rangers, luckily, have never scored a consolation goal, because I think Celtic have just opened the floodgates. And what's ominous for maybe the rest of Scottish football, and Aberdeen in particular, is I still don't think Celtic have hit third gear yet. I feel like we are a well-oiled machine playing to maximum fitness levels, and we're like an EPL team being dropped into the Scottish League. That's what it looks like. But I do think there's other gears to go, mate.
Yeah, I think there's other gears too. I think that's a good point. I think they've started the season, though. What I would also say with that is they've started it better than what I think they even finished last season. And
Yeah.
I don't think they played consistently like this. And I'm agreeing with you, by the way, in terms I don't think they're out. I don't think they're in third, fourth, fifth gear yet, right? However, what I take from that is they had to be in those gears that they're not in yet to get a performance level like their gear is definitely improved. Or the message that the manager's given, they're now buying far, far better. Are far more, they're far more understanding what their roles, responsibilities are. But also there's a confidence in the way they're playing. And that I think is so important as well, because when you're playing confident, these guys are actually we're a hell of a lot of technically very good players, and it's great to see them trying to pull off things. And I got a good vibe in pre-season. I've got to be honest. You don't read too much into it always, Mark. But see, to be honest with you, when I seen Nicholas couldn't try that outside of the boot pass against Man City, I thought for the Kyogo assist, I thought, wow, you don't if you're playing the sort of more established side, the side with the bigger clout, you tend to, whether it's subconscious or not in a friendly, you still see that wee bit more respect. I seen him do that. I thought, fucking hell, there's confidence oozing out this side. And I think as well, when it came to the weekend, was the first sign we've had of Celtic having a bit of adversity. It'll be all 10 minutes of it, the 10-minute wonders. That's what they should be fucking called. 10-minute wonder. I thought we dealt with that adversity 10 times better, Mark. Now, see, it was a bad start in a game last season. It was a bad half. Potentially a bad 90 minutes. I watched us after 10 score a perfectly legitimate goal. It was disallowed. We're not going to go into all that right again. But what I will say about it is that shows to me the reactions to adversity have improved as well. That's a mindset change. So as much as the football is more attractive on the eye, I'm seeing a mindset change as well, because my worry was I didn't feel Celtic built from brilliant starts well last season, or dealt with adversity well whatsoever last season either. They were very much a game of two halves often, or it was turgid stuff and grinding out results, albeit it did improve towards the end of the season. I don't deny that. But this year there looks a real attitude shift. Do you think it's, whether it's took longer or not, that this Celtic side now looks like there has been a bit of a mindset shift? And with the Champions League draw made last week, it was a fucking helter-skelter week. Champions League draw, transfer deadline day shut-in, Celtic Rangers Sunday. Madness. But with that draw being made, and we obviously covered it live on the bus, me and you, last Thursday, if there's been a mindset shift as well, that augurs well for being in Europe's premier competition. You know what I mean?
Well, I think what's obvious is this is Brendan Rodgers with 5 weeks of the team pre-season. This is when he gets the players together. This is what happens, Bhoycie. They come out the other side of that better players, more understanding the tactics. I genuinely believe that the first half of last season was the Celtic players weren't getting the message or it wasn't clicking for them. There was something no clicking between manager and players. There was something just no getting through to them. And I think what you found with that window there was, and after January too, to be fair, there was a wee blip after that, a couple of games, but when the players began to get the message, they bought into it. But you remember 2016 very well, like myself. You look at the first 5-10 games, we were winning matches left, right and centre. There was an anxiety amongst the support that's playing for the back, which was new to Celtic as such, you know what I mean? But the message was the players know what they're doing. Trust the process is a phrase we hate, but the players knew the message. They trusted the manager. They trusted their own footballing brains within the system Rodgers has created. And I think, see, when you get that much confidence in your manager, that much confidence in your ability, and that much confidence in the tactic itself, Boycie, this is what begins to happen. You got to have a level of ability as well. Of course you have, you know what I mean? It doesn't just tick off each box, but you got to have a certain level of ability. I'm sorry, I apologise for buying this, but I wasn't going to buy it. But when after Celtic bought that £11 million player, I thought I had to. Anyway, if you write the cupboard, I've not wear this.
Listen, I'll tell you now. Every year, this is our third summer that we've done, and I'm telling you right now, Marc wasn't buying any of the new merch any of those summers.
The same old shite repeated.
He's got more merch than anyone I know for Celtic every new season. So, but I promise. Anyway, that aside, the pre-season in AGS, I think he's really aligning with how I see it. Pre-season means everything, not in results, but you can easily see who is fitter than the previous year. And a fit team in pre-season reveals the players want to play for the manager and those who don't. I think there's a lot of truth in that. And I think tactically, AJSC, I would want to hone in on as well, because Marc's right. Whatever the message was, I think they're picking it up wrong, a lot of it. And I'm biased towards Brendan, I admit all that. But I do feel at times it was a bit like, fucking hell, man. Like, there's no way he could be telling them to play that negatively. And my concern, and I know it was yours as well, buddy, was if he's not getting his message across, we're in trouble. Because then it's the manager in situ, regardless of who it is, that we need to then start honing in on and looking at their performance. And that's got to be based on, okay, you might be absolutely delivering the same message you gave to the Invincibles and that type of football, but the players aren't buying what you're selling. And if that's the case, then there'll be one guy who goes naturally. And I think that's what was leading to the awkward conversations that was many last season. This year, it's been a breath of fresh air. Marc, obviously, as I say, it was a helter-skelter week. I've got a few comments coming in. There's a few hashtags being used, which I love. And we're going to try and get through 20 minutes worth of that. Do it shut up, a bit old school T.N.F, mate. But firstly, before we do that, in fact, no, it'll tie in perfectly, in fact, because there's one from Alistair Jack. This is what I was just going to ask. Where is the judge on how the he says what is the judge? I think where is the judge on how how the transfer window went now that it's ended?
Well, I think they can split that into two answers, can't we, Boycie? We can be happy with how it ended and still be a bit pissed off that it wasn't took care of before when it was. I think Brendan Rodgers referenced it a couple of times where he kind of broke ranks a wee bit and said, look, I'm not all that happy myself. I'm a bit frustrated. But now that it's done and dusted, we'll get through the first phase of games. We'll beat Rangers, unbeaten, no lost a goal, through in the cup, decent draw in Europe. You've got to say the club's strengthened and made a profit, which is fine. But I still feel like we could have strengthened.
Yeah. I just want you to quantify what you mean they've strengthened by as well, Marc, if that's all right.
Well,
where is it? How would you quantify that?
Well, I feel that I certainly feel like the centre back. Scales. Everybody's got a problem with Scales this season. They're watching different football, but Scales, he needed somebody to at least push him. Boycie, and this £6 million player. Judging by what Rodgers says, I think he's in to start. Rodgers is keeping on referencing Scales' last season, how good he was. I think he's now at the point where he's going to push Scales away, which is great. Scales is my second choice. Happy with that. I also feel like if skills is if Taylor's going to be pushed or at best overtaken by Bala or fucking whatever he's called, the left back, then that's upgrading two of the key parts of defence. And midfield, okay, this is the contentious part. We've not saw Engels play yet, so we can't possibly describe him as an upgrade on Matt O'Reilly. Far from it. But what we have done is we've strengthened the midfield numbers with quality as well. I think Matt O'Reilly was always going to go, boys. It was when, not if. And for Celtic to, in my opinion, bring in the most exciting midfielder in Scotland with Celtic, like McGowan, I mentioned him a couple of times. £1 million, great deal, ticks all the boxes. Like 26, probably going to get his best of his career at Celtic. If he can improve 1 inch, Rodgers will take him a mile. So good on him. Doesn't he have resale value? Fine. Keep a hold of the boy for 3 years, 4 years, pass him on. And Engels, I mean, if you go to the market and you spend £11 million plus add-ons, and reportedly give the guy the wages he's on, you can't help but suggest that Celtic upgraded their midfield, considering we all knew that O'Reilly was going to go anyway. So I think that and again with Ida, we've let go of O and brought in Ida. Okay, it's not an upgrade on last season's team, but we're upgrading the players. I still think we could have got in a left winger and a right winger, but seeing you look at Kuhn, the way he's playing, I'm not rushed to get rid of him either.
I'm relaxed with the winger situation as well. I've said that on the channel already. I'm relaxed about that one, to be honest.
I did Boycie. I mean, see, this is what I've realised this season. I don't know whether it's because Rodgers is new, beginning to get the screws into some of these players, but Rodgers has got a different Maeda version for what I've seen. We've all seen the hard-working workhorse, but
say it.
He's still a horse, but he's turned him into a football player. I mean, all right, you're still going to get the ball hitting the Emirates Stadium,
North London.
Yeah, well, that is Maeda. You don't think like
not the one across the road. It'll be the one fucking Arsenal player now.
Oh fuck, that's slippery tongue there. But they personally feel like if it's came together, and this is the thing that maybe we've kind of been ignorant about. Certainly I have been ignorant about is Rodgers will take any player who's good enough and make them better. And as the new version of Kuhn and the new version of Maeda good enough for Celtic just now? Yes, they won the last season at times.
Yeah, that's a huge worry as well. You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And okay, I saw something different in Bernardo the other day there. I've not saw a dynamic Bernardo. Bernardo was always that guy who was in the team you never noticed. He was dynamic. He was
how many times did he win the ball, mate? That was it. See the wee round the corner tackles, you know what I mean? Where the players got their back to him and he just get his wee toe round, take it, and then he does something with it. He seems to be really forward thinking as well.
Well, if you're being genuine with yourself the other day there, if somebody was going to come out of that midfield next week for that, it would be Hatate. Sometimes Rodgers has mentioned it a few times. Hatate's consistency is what held that guy's back for moving to another league. Now, you won't get 10 games in this team with 10 poor performances. You've got Aaron Engels behind your back, and you've got Bernardo and
McCowan.
We all assumed McCowan. And listen, if anybody thinks just because that boy cost £1 million and he came for Dundee, if anybody thinks that guy isn't going to be a first team player, the ran, he's got to be in that group every week. He's going to get game time, and he will go. We're missing box to box. I've been saying that. We're missing that Stan Petrov. Somebody goes box to box. Somebody can win the ball in his own box and be 30 yards for the opposition in a couple of seconds. He can do that, Boycie. He's also what a show of encouragement that he was preparing all week for St Mirren v Dundee. Rodgers brought him in on Friday night. He was still in the stadium at 2 a.m. Rodgers gave him 20 minutes of what it was in a derby match. That shows confidence in him. You don't get that time, Boycie. He could have brought in any other player. He's gave that young boy who most folk probably thinking he's brought in for the token midfield place, but You don't
I'm going to
force
flip
him
it.
there. Mhm.
I'm going to flip it, and I'll tell you why, and you like it. I think it's more likely he has been signed to be considered part of this first team. The fact we have looked within the Scottish League, and the fact we have spent 1.1 million on a Dundee player, because that hasn't been our remit of late.
Mhm.
You know, it's Seagrass deciding. I think Seagrass, by the way, was a big disappointment for, I would guess, the Celtic recruitment team and Ange as well. I generally think he was meant to come in to challenge Joe Hart. This wasn't meant to be just you actually be third choice by the time you leave, mate, and just drink rum with the first injury you get. You know what I mean? In Paris, that was never part of the plan.
No.
He obviously likes a pound note and not the football. Good on him. Hey, fair play to him. He earned the move, and that's fine. But I look at Luke McCowan coming from Dundee, and I go, Celtic don't look at this market. Maybe not enough for
No,
me.
they don't.
Maybe not
No.
enough for some. But when they do, there's no way they wouldn't begrudge their life at that 1.1 million if it was just to be a homegrown player. They'd use one of our own. If it's for the
Yeah,
homegrown rule,
that
as
has
someone
crossed my mind,
suggested,
mate. That's
which
crossed
is
my mind,
fine.
Boycie.
It's an
Aye.
added bonus. But trust me, Peter Lawwell will hate the fact we've had to give 1.1 million on our Scottish cost. It's not what they do. They don't. They've got snobbery towards it. He's probably fell out with their chairman already, John McGinn, as we all know. That was all down to a fallout with him and Rod Petrie. Fuck all to do with a fantastic footballer coming to Celtic. Anyone wants to think this is good business, by the way. Have your head looked at. You know what I mean when it comes to football. That's all I mean by that. Disclaimer. But when it comes to Celtic now paying over £1 million for a guy with 1 year left on his deal at Dundee, trust me, that guy's in to play the first team, because there is no way they can convince that money to be parted with for another Scottish team if that weren't the case, if that makes sense. Big shout out 1888 CFC has gifted a Bhoycie Bus membership. Thank you for doing that. That's really kind, and it keeps loads of folk, more folk feeling involved, which we love. Everyone's involved, obviously. Anyway, there's 120 of you live. We want your posts into us. I've got 2 to go through right now, Matt, but I'm hoping as we get through these 2, we'll do another 16, 17 minutes of the show, mate, right? Get to about
Go for
20
it.
past, if that's okay with you. But I've got a couple here to go through, and as I've said, the wee banner at the bottom says hashtag T.N.F at the start of your question. Let's get stuck in. John Mulaney. That's how you pronounce it. How would you pronounce that surname?
Mulaney. Aye.
Yeah, it is Mulaney, aye. I worry with these things. T.N.F does flip-flop sound as mad as the top hatter in his press releases. What does he even talk about? It's a bit of fun, but you know what? We're okay to do that. We're allowed to have fun on the bus. We've always said our priority is Celtic. However, when you listen to the build-up to this fixture, Mark, when I say we, I mean on the bus, we always try to prioritise. There's the odd dig at Rangers and stuff. Of course, I've had a good few. That's the nature of being a football fan. But in general, I'm always looking inward at us. What can we do better? How do we become the best version of ourselves? What's frustrating me? What's delighting me? These things. But with regards to this, in the lead up to the game, Matt, the Philippe Clement flip-flop, as John Mulaney is calling him, was instantly talking about transfer spend. You know, they spend more money, all this nonsense. And I get the feeling with him that he knows there's a multitude of excuses to keep him off the hook. Now, what he fails to realise is he sounds ridiculous by using them all, because when you're getting interviewed after a game, it's about the 90 minutes that we've watched, not about you beating Ross County 6-0 and things like this. Where he's also acutely aware he is off the hook on, Marc, is that they gave him a new deal already. He's on his second Rangers contract since he joined. He's been there 10 months. So when you look at that, you've got to say he's right to go, but you know what? See to make sure I either get paid off in full or keep the reputation intact, because many potential future shooters might be keeping an eye on my progress. There might be clubs in Belgium still thinking, if he's available, then how's he doing over there? So if you just keep publicly using all the other excuses and making it all unfair. This guy talked about the game like it was almost a closer affair than what it's made out. Is he right to be utilising all these excuses? I mean, he has got a fair few, to be fair to him.
Well, I think I heard somebody call it clementia today. on the Twitter if I was in stitches with that. He's got dementia.
That's just clever. Very good.
People are just
Don't forget that,
amazing. Oh, boom, boom. But I think this works with the Rangers fans to a certain point, and then they just tip over the edge. I think he's at the edge of the cliff, Boycie, where it's one more daft comment, and then the full fan base is going to flip on him. But you mentioned his 4-year extension. Now, listen, this might surprise you. I think Man U's biggest issue for the last maybe decade or so was new players, new manager, rip up, start again. New players, new manager, rip up. I think there's been a frank discussion during summertime. They've discovered that they're, as a club and as a squad, nowhere near it. This isn't going to be fixed in 10 months or one season. This is going to be... So they've made this decision to make this long haul, but they've not told the fans that. You know what I mean? So he's going to commit and pretend that everything's fine, Boycie, but that's a double-edged sword. If you pretend everything's fine when the Rangers fans are watching this shite on telly or at the stadium, it becomes ridiculous. It's a double-edged sword. You can't have it both ways. They're telling you 1 minute that there's a rebuild at stage here, then they're telling us the next that they're par and par with Celtic. Now, don't forget, Boycie, before we get into the logistics, 2 of these shots were in the last 10 minutes when the game was over. They got 1 goal chalked off, which wasn't offside, as you mentioned. And Celtic had about 3 or 4 open goals they missed. Hatate, a sitter. Keel goes through 1-on-1. Celtic were through 1-on-1 twice, and the referee pulled it back for a free kick to Celtic. All these realistic equations still happened in that match, but he's referencing the wee small details. It's like you've crashed your motor, you've killed the cat, but your Chinese on the passenger seat is still there. So you're focusing on the fact that your Chinese is still all right. You know what I mean? With the fact you wrecked your motor and killed the cat.
That's clever.
And
you just make that up, didn't you?
I just want to kill cats and eat Chinese meals.
If you merge the two, you know.
Well,
I'll shut up. I get chucked off.
Don't slag cats on the internet, mate. Folk. But see, this is the thing. This is what he's. I don't know. I don't think he gets the club he's at, Boycie. Rangers are a massive club, right? Their fans are still stuck in the past, where they are number 1 club in Britain and they think they're the best. You can't tell that fan base that they're right, but then tell them beating Ross County 6-0 last week makes up for the fact that you lost 3-0 at Celtic. The two don't marry up, and this is the thing. I think guys like Pedro Caixinha, Van Bronckhorst, and him fall into the same categories. They just don't get it. They're just not staunch enough. If he came out full time there and said, "I'm not happy. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to smash a few tiles. I'm going to get the players back at the training tomorrow, and trust me, it's going to be a graft." Rangers fans begin to accept that, Boycie.
But this is a really interesting point you make there, because I mean, obviously, in fact, predominantly we are work with as well as Rangers fans, apart from the director. He's good Celtic man like me.
That's
so
it.
That's me just extending my contract for a month at the company at least. You know, for the usual week-to-week basis that I've probably got it on. But speaking to the boys at work, and they said, well, if we keep doing the same thing, it's the sign of insanity. And then the other boy goes, but the biggest concern is, what if we've not got the right guy and we break the mold by sticking with him and it's fucking the wrong one? And he goes, then you're 2-3 years behind. He goes, so this sticker twist nature that they're now in, he goes, it's far fucking more intimidating a scenario to be in than what you would think. And he actually made total sense. First thing he says, he goes, Gio was robbed of transfer funds. He said they were given to a clown the year later for no achievements. He goes, fucking Gerrard got us the Champions League money. The only manager ever, I think they said, well, they could be wrong. I'm guessing they've read this in one of the forums or something. But they said he was the only manager ever to, after Champions League qualification, now some folk know they're qualified from the end of the season before, so you wouldn't want to count them too much. But the first team ever not to sign a player in that time from qualifying deadline. Something like that, but they might be hyperbole on their part. I'm not
maybe at Rangers, but
I've not read this. I've not read this from any Stato book, but that's what they were saying. They didn't sign one after. So he goes, Europa League money and Champions League money he generated in the space of 3 months, and they might didn't give him a fucking dink, Boycie. And I was like, I mean, no, I know, man, I know. But I think you're absolutely right. It's full like Gio weren't staunch enough. Now, let's go back to Celtic stuff. That was fun though. I enjoyed that wee segment. It's okay to do that. T.N.F. has Brendan Rodgers now getting is Brendan Rodgers, I'm going to guess, now getting out the squad and enhanced it with these new signings for a proper European challenge. So it's like much of what we were saying last week, Marc, because at the end of the day, we've not played any games in Europe since we spoke last week. The Champions League squad's announced as much as we expect. I think Adam Montgomery's name I seen in it though.
Oh, was it? I've not seen the squad, Boycie.
Yeah, Montgomery's the only one. I had it up earlier, but it was actually slowing my Wi-Fi down the laptop. And I was fucking, I couldn't be bothered. So I took off. But Adam Montgomery's the only surprise I've seen.
I've not seen it. I need to check this out, mate.
In terms of how we're playing right now, John, and then the signings that we've still got to sort of implement into the team, and it was great to give them a run out in domestics. Our domestics games biggest fixture. I don't mean our as a greatest card. I just mean Celtics, because the Dundee fan, that'll be Dundee United and stuff. That's fine. But to us, biggest game of the season, our biggest domestic challenge, biggest domestic rival throughout history, to be able to afford to bring Ingles, McCowan on in these games, that was a nice feeling as well. And I think everyone's coming together, John, for some sort of European challenge. By that, I'm part of the conditioning downsize now. So when you say European challenge to me, I go, yeah, I want to make the last 24 out of 36 where there's, should be a fine chance of doing that. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to. My challenge would be Celtic to take it to match day 10, which would mean we're in a playoff mark for the last 16 and are still in it after the first leg. And when you get to match day 10, I think I would, and then just as a flip of a coin that night. So I'm not saying we go out after it, but you flip a coin and decide. I think I would take that right now.
Oh, so would I. That would spell very, very much progress. I mean, we're looking for. I think they ran the numbers, and Celtic come in 24th in this league, gone on stats and all the rest of it. So Celtic on paper,
okay, that would be us.
Do you know what? I would take that because see if we're last year getting 4 points and a win was progress. I think Rodgers with another year under his belt at Celtic with players who can fit into his squad. You're definitely wanting Celtic to kick on this season. I mean, I may even go to one of the matches. I don't know, but you can't decry this team a chance. You know what I mean? I don't know whether it's me because I'm looking at the opposition or whether I'm looking at Celtic, but it doesn't really matter just now. The fact of the matter is this is our opposition and this is the Celtic team. So just based on these two things, I think Celtic have got a chance. Okay, if we had Leo's 8 teams with Madrid and not rest it, no, I wouldn't give us a chance. But that's by the by. Celtic are up against teams who are comparable with Celtic in terms of budget, probably smaller, but Celtic can compete with them. So I think we'll get a really good chance. If we go into the 10th game with a chance, or at least, well,
to make the 10th game, though, you would have to have been in the top 24.
Yeah.
Aye.
I don't know. Somebody said they ran the maths and 8 points gets you through. I thought it was going to be closer to 10, but unless I'm getting too cocky,
it's such a strange format, Marc, because just because we play, for example, Slovan Bratislava on match day 1, and say we're going, we're scalping 3-0. Then if Villa were only beat them by a couple, Villa won't necessarily be playing them. I don't know Villa's 8 fixtures.
Well, look at Bayern Munich and Juventus.
But we're not a group.
No.
It all depends. So Villa, whoever their 8 games are, could be totally different from ours. So the teams, you're not looking out for other results in the same.
Oh, it's wacky.
I love it, to be honest. I really, really like it. I thought it needed a kick up the arse, needed freshened up. I want to see us play more new teams. I think it's opened the horizons on that as well. Celtic against 8 different teams in one European season.
It's much better.
I can
It's,
see
it's,
you. I
yeah,
can see you agreeing, mate. I can tell.
it's this European League, but they've made it into a Champions League format. And you know what you are
Let's give
finding
it
is
access as well, though, for the lesser sides. Actually, lesser than normal Champions League sides.
aye,
So
correct.
that's a good thing too.
Because look at match day 4, Celtic was normally we're out. Match
Yeah,
day 4 for Madrid, they're through. But see if they're on match day 4, Madrid might be through, but Man City might finish above them. So they don't want that. They want an easier tie.
they
So it's
want
going to
they
be
want to win. They
aye.
want to win their 8-game league.
So,
Of
Elaine,
course,
I
you want
think,
to stop, mate.
and I think first in the table might play one of the kind of lesser. See in the tie,
I
they
don't
might.
know if it's a potluck draw or if it's going to
Or
be.
that,
No, I don't know.
but
I'm
it's
saying I
good or
don't know if
say. It's
it's
good or
exciting.
small.
And what I like is, it's come match day 7. All you're looking about is the teams around you, but you don't. They're not going. Oh, they'll lie down because you don't know. You don't know. Everyone's playing for a position here. Obviously, if you're in the, I mean, if you were in the top 16, you're not just going, oh, well, we're in the top 6. Of course, there'll be a reward for it. So you're probably right. It will not be done just potluck again. The top the top 8 sides or whatever. Just it will be
Yeah.
based on you're in the top 8. You then get drawn against. It will be something that'll be worth. I think what they try to do, they'll be trying to do the competition exactly what you just said. Not have teams out after 4 games, not have teams through and just sit and cushy after 4 either.
No.
This
Yeah.
is far more exciting. Do you know what with Celtic, Matt? It's feast or famine. Whereas at times, I don't mean famine in a bad way. Jeez, I'm getting all PG with myself now. But you know what I mean? I mean, it wouldn't shock if we don't win a European game. Remember, we hadn't been in European football after Christmas for 30 years and got to UEFA Cup final
True.
when we beat Vigo. This would be 24 years not won a knockout tie and suddenly get in, a fucking quarterfinal, semi-final. Like, that would be Celtic to a T. Going, fucking hell, we've saved up the point. We've saved up the moments bank, haven't we? We've just went all in one season because I always remember that was Hartson's goal, Celtic Vigo away. First European game, I think, 31 years after Christmas.
That's
So
right.
that
That's
led
right.
to, and we made the final that year. So we're a strange bunch that way, eh?
I think that the closest we got was the 3rd round before that. So you're right. It was fucking very. And the thing is, if you do get through to the knockout round, and then Rangers and Hearts pick up points, before you know it, you might be in a position where next season is automatic qualifying for the Champions League because we need points this season. You know what I mean? So there's going to be carrots dangled all over the place for Celtic. The more wins in this competition, the more points in this competition, the more points in the coefficient. And so it's Celtic can win on both on both regards here. You know what I mean? Every pound, every point is. I think you get €3 million for a win. So it's the money's crazy, but also make Celtic a second crack at this next year as well. Build again.
So Sabra Celtic's right. There's no automatic qualification right. So we're in the playoff no matter what next year.
Was it playoff for the champions?
We win the playoff round. We go in at. But that's a shot. That's a disgrace. And I've said that I'm on record. I don't want to be all negative tonight. But, my feeling on that is it should never have got to that. With 3 years in the bank in a row of guaranteed group stage football, you make it a good business. And for what we call business, a good business, Mark. Make sure that becomes year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7. Because that's one hell of a run at it to have blown it that quick, the coefficient points down to back to playoffs. However, you're absolutely right. The points that we do accumulate this year can then start having knock-on effects the season after next. And before you know, might be back in the mix again.
Aye, well, I'll go that one wrong. So, but
That's okay. But it's still a hell of a lot to play for. We can't live year by year. We should be looking at sustainably going, right, see if it's an opportunity to get points here. We've fucked up once. Let's not do it again.
Well, I think we've saw a small. I mean, Rogers spoke last week just before the window closed, and I definitely think right just now there's work getting done behind the scenes to change at least Celtic's scouting structure. You see if that scouting structure is looking at the better level of player, that'll snowball onto Celtic's European performances. That'll all come together. You're buying higher caliber players, you're going to get better in Europe. But of course, yeah. So I think under Ange, we spoke about what was the contingency plan for this club. Are we soaking up this guy's knowledge, this guy's football philosophy? It turns out we were doing nothing of the sort, Boycie. See, when Rogers has only got 3 years, right? Probably make these 3 years and go. We need to soak up every bit of information this guy's got on how a football club should be run, top to bottom. And if
of
we don't
course,
do that while he's here, we might be starting the process all in again. I think Celtic have realised now that when there is a well to tap it, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I like to think that what's happening just now behind the scenes, structurally wise, Rodgers is at the very heart of it. That's what I like to think.
Well, not just that, Mark, but I think as well, and again, got me mad. But imagine an imaginative run. Imagine, let's go as far as saying with 12 Champions League games this year. Let's say we got, that would then mean last 16. And let's say by match day 12, you flip a coin again. So that'd be us win the playoff from the top 24 to last 16. And that gives us a chance to be in the last 8. I'm flipping a coin in my. Do you not think that then makes Brendan Rodgers out? And I get, by the way, what you're saying, he might just be project 3 years and back down. See, if you do something like that at Celtic, then your bug is fucking unbelievable.
Oh, listen, mate, we're lucky. We've got a guy.
Struggle to walk away for that.
I think we've got a guy I think he's elite. I've said that from the start. I think we're lucky to have him because he's a Celtic fan. But not only that, I think he does feel like the way he left, this is a kind of rehabilitation for him in the eyes of the Celtic fans. So this could be the way he pays his back.
Yep.
If he gets 3 years out the line, I would hate to be in this situation next year at this stage of the season, having no idea what the future holds. I'd hate to be sitting going, oh, fuck this. So who knows what I run to the last 16, as you said, or 8. Who knows what that would do? I know we're counting the chicken before we've even laid the egg, but who knows in Europe? Who knows? We might get 8, 9, 10 points. I don't think it's outlandish to think Celtic can get between 7 and 10 points. I really don't. I think Celtic are well capable of doing that. So
me too.
I think we've got a fighting chance. Now, if we get to the last, if we do, and we get to group match 9 and 10, and we've got a Juventus and we get papped out, fine. But do you know something? See that squad for the next season. What an experience that had been. Because Lennon built a right good Celtic team for Europe. We go to the last 16, but see the following season, Boycie, he left and it started to get picked apart. There was no
forwards. No, they didn't want to invest in him. Yeah, that's right. He knew. He said domestic bliss isn't enough. And whether that point in time Rangers weren't in the league, right? Now they are. And I still think that this era of domestic bliss is now, if you're being, eyes on the prize and stuff, you look at the last 3 years, mate. 3 in a row is already done. And they look further away by year 4, which will continue to grow. Unless there's a big turnaround. I know it's early days this season. It feels like so Rodgers' domestic bliss bug, as I call it, won't be there as much, mate. The fainter that challenge becomes. What he will then need to stimulate him is invest in my squad and make me even let's dream of last 16 again, Champions League or something like this.
Oh, that legacy.
Yeah, but Lenny knew he had the domestic bliss, albeit Rangers went in it, but it was the same vibe as I'm getting now. That we are miles ahead. And it wasn't enough for Lennon just to go in and go, right, you've given me the same tools last time, bar one player that will be sold, and I've got a few bargains to get. I'll do the domestic bliss, but no bother. The Champions League give me trickier for me there. That's not stimulating me. That's not making me stay. We're going to call it there, Mark, but that I wonder what your thoughts are very quickly before we go on that. Do you think it will be now very much focus Europe to keep Brendan in situ, keep him happy, and as you say, continue to learn?
Well, I think something triggered within the club during this window towards the very end of it. There was the club realised that they've got a fan base that is behind this manager 110%. They've also got a manager that's behind Project Celtic 110%. We need the board to be behind us, and I think there's been a frank conversation at one point towards the end of that window. And Celtic have had the conversation with him, and he said that we're at a fork-yard road here. We can go one way and shoot for the stars, or we can go one way and just aim for 1 point above Rangers. What way do you want to go? Because I'm not going both ways. And I do genuinely believe that that's happened. Not in that in the exact terms, and Rodgers will be happy to own this juggernaut as long as the club's trajectory is going up the way, that their ambitions is going up the way. And this is how you entice him. To a man who's got ambitions to take back to England, what's planned 2 more years of European football going to do for his CV? It's going to do him a lot of good. So for me, I think he is more key and crucial than anybody at the club just now. And if we can milk for this guy for everything he's got intellectually, the club itself will grow. The only question is the board what I can ways, but I know I'm coming.
Awesome, mate. Well, listen, let's look forward to an exciting European campaign. The chat has been absolutely lively, by the way. We've done very well considering the show got announced very last minute. 130 odd watching live right now, so a big shout out to you all. You know who you are. Have a brilliant evening, Marc. I'm going to go play badminton for about the 7th, 8th time in my life. Like I told you before, by the way, I was a champion at squash growing up. You're under 16 champion, mate. At the sports club where Andy Murray no less practice his tennis in Budge.
No. Well, I'll tell you something.
Yeah, go on. Oh, go on.
Well, I don't know. I asked my brothers about this the other day there because I don't know if I dreamt it or whether it's true, right? this is the truth, right? I've either dreamt I'm a world-class squash player or I've never played the sport in my life before. I don't know what one. I genuinely do not know what one it is because I've got it in my head. I'm good at the sport, but I've never played it before. Either that or I have played it.
Maybe it was another life.
Maybe
it was another life, another dimension, Marc. We will find out. The Bus does squash live. Bhoycie Bus versus the judge. Bhoycie versus the judge. Who needs a T.N.F? We could do it over a squash group.
I'll do that. You need to do it back.
Get Phil to do comms.
Fuck it, I missed it.
Good night, guys. See you later. Cheers.